Hello students, today I am here to deal with a chapter which is very important for all of us. As we know, each and every organism needs energy to carry on with the processes of living, and the energy that we need, it comes from the food that we take. So let us deal with the food chapter, that is of chapter number 2. We know we get food both from the side of plants as well as from the side of animals, and we need this food to get energy for growth, repairment and maintenance of the body, and again to fight against many diseases. If we look at the food that we get from the side of plants are cereals, pulses, vegetables, fruits, spices, oil, tea, sugar, and likewise many different foods we get from the side of plants. We too get different types of roots as a food. If you look at the table 2.1, you can get food from various parts of plant. As a root, you can see carrot, radish, beetroot, turnip, sweet potato. Steam, you can see sugarcane, potato, qualicea, ginger, onion. If you talk about flowers like cauliflower, broccoli, moringa, banana. Fruit, banana, mango, guava, papaya, brinjal, tomato. Seed, you can see pulses, peanut, almonds, walnuts, coconut, fenugreek. So all these are the foods that we get from different parts of the plant. If you look at the foods that we get from the side of animals are milk, meat, eggs. Mostly cows and buffaloes are the chief producers of or providers of milk. Now in some places people who do not have the milk of other animals like camels, goats and yaks. Yogurt, butter, cheese, paneer, ghee, ice creams, sweet chocolates, milkshakes. There are many things that we get from the side of milk, and this milk we get from cows and buffaloes. Not only cows and buffaloes, we get it from camels also and from the side of goats also. So in many places we see people used to rear these birds for meat and eggs and are called poultry. The most common domestic fowl is the chicken. People do keep ducks and other birds too. Sheep and goats are some animals that provide us with meat. Fish, crabs, lobsters and prawns come from rivers, lakes and seas. Fish, oil and eggs are considered to be very nutritious. Now if you look at how the food comes to us, then there are many sources through which the food comes. If you think that the food is coming from your kitchen, yes, you are right that food is coming from the kitchen. If you think that the food is coming from the shop that you have near your house, yes, you can think that the food is coming from the shop that is near your house. So likewise, how the food comes to us, firstly the food is cultivated in a place, in a field it has been cultivated, and after it has been cultivated, when the food grows, it has been harvested, and after harvesting it has been sent to the factories, and then from the factories it has been sent to the traders, and from the traders it has been sent to different retail shops, and we know our parents used to buy from those shops and bring it to our home, and in the kitchen it has been cooked and we are able to get the food. In this way we get food from various sources. Take atta for example. Atta, as you know, this atta is known as flour in English. Farmers grow wheat in their fields. When the wheat ripens, they harvest it. Then some sell it to the traders and some sell it directly to the flour mills. Either way, wheat has to be transported from farm to the mills. From the mills, the ground wheat or atta is transported to the shops. Big shopkeepers are called wholesalers, while small shopkeepers are called retailers. We generally buy or supply from retailers who get their supplies from wholesalers. Fruits, vegetables are transported directly to the wholesale markets. Since they do not have to process in mills, sugarcane and oilseeds like mustard and groundnuts are transported to sugar mills and oil mills. If you talk about the fishes, eggs and meats, these are again transported in different means. Fishermen, what we used to do is that they used to catch the fish from rivers, ponds, lakes and the seas, and are sold in the markets, and from the markets our parents used to get it for us and we use it as a food, or we take it as a food. Now talking about the food habits. If you talk about the food habits, then different animals have got different food habits. The type of food we generally eat, the number of meals we have in a day and the time at which we take these meals constitute our food habits. All of us, we have different food habits. We have our own choices regarding the likes and the dislikes of the food. The first very thing about good food habits is to eat as much as one needs to at fixed times of the day. If we eat too much, then we may suffer from a disease called obesity. So we need to take foods as much as it is required by our body. Fresh fruits, salads, vegetables and milk products are considered to be good for the health. So we should take such foods. Frying and overcooking may even destroy many of the nutritious substances present in the food. So we should take care of that too. Now talking about the food habits of animals. If you talk about the food habits of animals, then many books on the food habits of animals can be written. There are some that eat insects, some that live on nectars, some that are content to live on the decaying matter in soil, and others that are very choosy about the leaves they munch. In general, we can divide the higher animals into 3 groups based on their food habits as herbivores, carnivores and omnivores. As you all know that these herbivores are those organisms which always depend on plants for their food. They depend on plants directly for their food, like cow, goat, deer. All these animals are considered as herbivores. Nextly, if we talk about carnivores, carnivores are those organisms that depend on the flesh of other animals, like tiger, lions and all. And if we talk about the omnivores, omnivores includes all those organisms that depend both on plants and animals. Here comes, you can, under these omnivores, you can get examples like bears, crows, pigs, and even humans. Now, let us learn about the constituents of food. Constituents of food. As we know that our body requires 5 different types of nutrients. So the food has got different constituents of all the 5 nutrients. In some foods you may get all the 5 nutrients. In some foods you may not get all the 5 nutrients. So let us learn about all the constituents of food one by one. Firstly, talking about carbohydrates. These carbohydrates is a very important nutrient for our body. We get it from foods like potato and all. We know that these carbohydrates, it contains carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, and it is very important for our body to get energy. That means these carbohydrates, it helps in giving energy to our body. Talking about starch. This starch is also another kind of carbohydrate which is little bit complex as compared to the carbohydrates. So we see that starch like potatoes, are not sweet. But if you talk about other carbohydrates, they are sweet in taste. But potatoes are not sweet in taste. Starch is made of sugar molecules. It is not sweet like sugars. Now, if you want to learn which type of food contains starch or which type of food contains carbohydrates, then we can do some tests. You can add a few drops of an iodine solution to different food samples. After adding the iodine solution to different food samples, say for example you have taken a smash of boiled potato. After adding the iodine, if the color changes to blue-black, then it indicates that the food contains carbohydrate or starch. Nextly, the next nutrient is fats. As we have learned that these carbohydrates helps in giving energy, fats too is a nutrient which also helps in giving energy to our body. These fats, we get it from butter, ghee, oil, milk, egg, and so on. All these foods are rich in fats. Unlike the carbohydrates, fats are compounds of carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen and however, on 1 gram of fat gives double the energy provided by 1 gram of carbohydrate. So the energy that is found in case of the fats is double as compared to the energy that we get from the carbohydrates. We can store these fats in our body, but not starch or sugars. That is why the fats that get stored in our body is known as energy bank, or it serves as a bank of energy. At the times when there is an extra demand for energy, the energy which is stored in the form of fats is used up by our body. Now, if you want to know how to find out the presence of fats in the foods that we take, then it's very simple. You can take a plain sheet of paper and just take the food and rub it with the paper. If the paper changes to a translucent, or it becomes stained part, or the stained part of the paper turns translucent, then it indicates that the food contains fats. For example, if you take oil or butter or ghee and stain it with paper, then you can see that the stained portion, it turns translucent. So it indicates that the food contains fats. Nextly, proteins. These proteins are again a very important nutrient which contains nitrogen in addition to carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen. They are needed to make new cells for growth and to replace old ones. That is why growing children, they need proteins for their growth. We get these proteins from animal sources such as milk, eggs, meat, and fish. We also get from plant sources like pulses, corn, soya, and on. We cannot store this protein in our bodies. Excess proteins are either broken down and excreted as urea or converted into fats. Proteins can provide us with energy if necessary. How to test for proteins? To test protein, what we need to do is that we add a few drops of concentrated nitric acid to some egg white and heat the test tube gently until its contents turn yellow. After the contents turn yellow, we can pour out the acid into a beaker and pour a few drops of ammonium hydroxide into it. Then we need to shake well, and if the contents turn violet, then it indicates the food that we are testing, it contains protein. Lastly, vitamins and minerals. These vitamins and minerals, these are the two nutrients which are required by our body in very small quantity. But the first three nutrients, carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, are required by our body in large quantity. These are very important, and it doesn't mean that the last two nutrients are not important. They are also important, but they are required in very small quantity. It is essential for healthy functioning of the body. Animals cannot manufacture these compounds, so they need to get from plants. The importance of vitamins was unknown to us until the early 1900s when a British scientist, Sir Frederick Gollan Hopkins, demonstrated that animals can even die if their diet lacks vitamins. So slowly and slowly we come to learn about different vitamins, and these vitamins can be classified into those which are soluble in water and those which are insoluble in the vitamins are classified into those which are soluble in water and those which are soluble in fats. Some 20 vitamins have been isolated so far. These include vitamin A group of vitamins called vitamin B complex, vitamin C, D, E and K. Vitamin B complex includes vitamins like B1, B2, B3, B6, B12, and likewise each influences some vital function on the body. If you talk about the last nutrient, that is mineral, we have learnt when you were in your previous classes like iodine, iron, calcium. All these are the minerals that we get from different foods. So all these minerals helps our body in different ways. We can see iron present in cereals, pulses, meat, leafy vegetables and eggs is another important mineral. It helps in the formation of blood. If you don't have this iron in your body, then there won't be any formation of blood. The lack of iron in the body, it may cause a disease known as anemia. Now talking about iodine. Iodine is a mineral nutrient which is required by our body to let our body function properly. We know if there is lack of iodine, then we may suffer from a disease known as goiter. This goiter is a disease in which a swelling takes place in the throat. Likewise, lastly, if we talk about the constituents about the food, is the water. Water accounts for about 70% of the weight of an individual. Human beings have been known to survive without food for over 3 weeks, but they may die in 2 or 3 days without water. We take in water not only for directly drinking, but also as a part of the food that we eat. The amount of water an animal needs to drink depends on how much water it loses by sweating, excreting and so on. Many desert animals like camels and all do not need to drink much water. They make do with the water content in their diet. Water is needed for many vital functions of the body. All the chemical reactions in the body like digestion, it occurs in the dissolved or solution state. Water helps to carry digested food around the body, and it also carries waste which are thrown out of the body in the form of sweat and urine. Water also helps to regulate the body temperature through the process of sweating. Nextly, if we talk about the dehydration, then this dehydration is a condition in which excessive loss of water takes place through the body. At times when a person undergoes diarrhea, vomiting, burns or heat stroke, at times the person loses a lot of water and minerals from the body. So if acute dehydration takes place, it may even lead to the death of the person. A person may even die. So to prevent dehydration, it is always suggested to take an oral rehydration solution, which can treat dehydration, and it can be met by dissolving 4 spoons of sugar and 1 spoon of salt and a few drops of lemon juice to 1 liter of water. Nextly, the other constituents of food is roughage. This roughage, it is very important as a food, because we cannot digest the food that we have taken. If the food that we have taken is very hard and so on, we cannot digest cellulose, the carbohydrate which the walls of the plant cells are made of. It is thrown out of waste, yet it is necessary part of a diet. Cellulose, as we know, referred to as a fiber or roughage, swells up in the intestine by absorbing water. It thus adds bulk to the phases and keeps it soft. So, if we need our food to get digested properly, then we need to take different types of roughages. Meat eaters often suffer from constipation if their diet does not include enough vegetables. So, different vegetables, they act as a roughage and helps in proper digestion of our food. Now, we know that every day we used to take different types of food, but do you think that you are having a balanced diet? If you are very much healthy, then you may think to some extent that you are having a balanced diet. So, what do you mean by this diet, or what do you mean by the balanced diet? Diet means the food that we are taking, and balanced diet means the food that we are taking is of the right amount. If our body gets all the nutrients at the right amount, then it can be considered as, or it can be called as, a balanced diet. Nutrients can be classified under the following headings: energy rich, they are fats and carbohydrates; tissue building, they are considered as proteins; protective, they are vitamins and minerals. Your diet must include all the three types of nutrients: carbohydrates, proteins and vitamins and minerals. Likewise, if we don't have any of such nutrients in our diet, or if there is shortage or deficiency of any of these nutrients in our body, then we may suffer from various different types of nutritional deficiency diseases. When you were in your previous class, you have learned about it, like deficiency of vitamin A, it causes night blindness; deficiency of vitamin B, it causes beriberi; or deficiency of vitamin C, it causes scurvy. So, likewise, many diseases may occur. Let us learn about deficiency of proteins. A lack of proteins in the diet may lead to symptoms like discoloration of hair. Your hairs may go discolor, distended stomach, swollen ankles and patchy skin. Lack of carbohydrates and fats will lead the children suffering from malnutrition, and the children may not be able to grow properly, and he may, both mentally as well as physically, the growth rate will be very slow. Rickets is another kind of disease that affects young children, in which we find that young children's legs gets bent. If you want to go through some of the vitamins and the functions, you can refer the table 2.3, and with this I end up my class. Thank you.